Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. I am the president and CEO of Million Kids. Million Kids is an organization that combats human trafficking, social media exploitation, and child pornography. And this is a case about child pornography. You're receiving these insider alerts because you most likely have gone to millionkids.org and signed up. But if you'd like to share them with others, you can either go to millionkids.org and sign up or go to Insider Alerts and sign up. So this is a global, what we call CSAM ring, child sexual abuse materials. That's a fancy word for child pornography. It was called BOYSTOWN. It had over 400,000 pedophile members on it. So I want to share with you about how this works so you understand just how massive this problem is. You see, this is really based on technology, where all of our kids are online and easy to seduce into sending naked photos and like that. But also pedophiles are online and they start to find each other and they use technology to build large-scale sex abuse lines or rings, if you will, child pornography rings. And that is what is taking place here. This was busted out of Germany, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't involve people in the US. These involve people from all over the world. So pedophiles go online and they get acquainted. They find out that they share like fetishes, maybe in the sexual abuse of a very young child, which is the case in this case, or maybe the sexual exploitation of our teenagers. Often that results in sextortion. But as you know, Million Kids fights sextortion because I want our kids to know that when they send out those naked photos, they go into these large-scale rings where they are traded over and over. And that is what is happening here in the BOYSTOWN child pornography ring. What would happen is they would meet in the surface web. If you think of the internet as a bucket of water, the top 4% is where we have Google and Bing and Chrome and things like that. We have IP addresses and search engines. We can find each other. Below that is the deep web. That's where big corporations and governments store their data. And below that is the dark web. And you don't just go from the surface web to the dark web. You don't. You need a special browser to do that. The most common one, there are multiple ones, but the most common one is Tor, the onion router. If you ever see a young person with a .onion on their account, they're in the dark web. And it takes a special browser. The browser is not all that expensive, but you need a little bit better piece of equipment. So we often find this in more upscale homes or in private schools where the young person will have a .onion account going into the dark web. But what will happen is that these individuals will meet in the surface web, they get a specific address to go in the dark web, and they join these kinds of rings. And that's exactly what we have here. We have the BOYSTOWN darknet child sexual abuse materials ring or child pornography ring. It had 400,000 members. Now that's substantial, okay? That's not the biggest one ever found, but it is substantial. I say that because a lot of times they will need to constantly, when they're part of these rings, be submitting new material, meaning they need to violate a child somehow and send that material in to make sure that they're not law enforcement. That means that somewhere around the world, 400,000 kids were being violated, and that material was being sent in and being shared with a child pornography ring. That is the dastardly nature of child pornography, because once that pedophile has your photo, you not only became violated and taken the photo, you see for each one of these members, there's probably at least once a week a new victim. And that's a huge amount of victims. And once they get sexually violated and it's filmed, it goes out and it is drooled over and shared by pedophiles all over the world. And for the rest of their life, they will never be able to get that back. This is the reason why I caution our teenagers when they get involved and they start to send that naked photo. You don't know where it goes. And if this case, it had gone to one of these rings, it had gone out to 400,000 people just like this. Well, I hate to tell you this, but this particular ring really specialized in the most gruesome, awful kind of child pornography, and that is infants and toddlers. And it is absolutely sad to see this happen. It was a very large ring of like-minded people that went into this. So in this is a Tor-based website on the dark web where law enforcement was able to take this down. This is a very big investigation involving a lot of people. The dark web consists of multiple pages that are inaccessible using your normal browser or search engine. It started, they believe, in 2019, and it was membership based. Means you had to qualify. You may even have paid a fee. They don't say that this time, but often you pay a fee to be part of it. It was interesting because it was divided up by at least two different platforms, the LoliPub and the BoysPub. And this is hardcore child pornography of very young children. Here's an example of what some of the graphics look like that are able to be shared with you. This was found through Europol and working with the Canadian Royal Mounted Police up there and other agencies, including our agencies, most likely the FBI or Homeland Security here in the United States, as well as out of Netherlands, Sweden, and Australia. These are massive investigations that take place. They ended up prosecuting or arresting at this point anyway, the administrators of the site at this point. There were three main administrators. There are their names. They were in different countries or different areas. A fourth suspect had been accused of uploading more than 3,500 posts to the website. Now, this is just getting started on this investigation. These are the administrators. But if it had 400,000 users, I guarantee you what they're going to start to do is run all the IP addresses and the data related to the people that were members of that, and you will start to see more arrests. These special victim identification software will help identify the victims. You see, that is one of the problems. If you have 400,000 perpetrators, I guarantee you probably have 1 million or 2 million victims. And it is very difficult to find out who the victim is, identify them, and assist them, find out who violated them, who took the photos, what happened to them, and get them counseling, because this will change their life forever, especially if they're very young victims, in this case of infants and toddlers. So Interpol is working with their sexual exploitation database, has more than 2.7 million images in it. I want you to think about something. That's not just 2.7 million photos or videos. That's 2.7 million children who were sexually violated and had it filmed and shared with thousands of people. So far, they've been able to identify 23,000 victims, but in a database of 2.7 million, that's only 1%. So this is a serious matter, and I appreciate you educating yourself and being willing to learn about it. One of the things that we do know is that this is a constant fight. These guys get technology advancements, and it makes it difficult to be able to go in and combat this, to investigate and find them. And I'll tell you that the investigators of these child sexual abuse rings are my heroes. I know many of them, and they look at some incredibly difficult stuff, but they are willing to do the hard work to be able to stop this. You see, as our law enforcement gets better, these guys then also get better at hiding what they do. They're now moving from the dark web into bulletproof hosting. In essence, taking those servers and putting them in third world countries that don't ask questions, or in countries that don't have strong data protection laws. For instance, like in Iceland, or maybe Romania, or Belize, or Albania, those kinds of places. And so I'm very proud of the investigators that found this site and took it down. They are not the largest. At one point, a couple of years ago, they discovered Welcome to Video in South Korea. Now, I recently found that an article that said that they had 500,000, 500,000 participants. Got that number wrong. Anyway, but the original reporting was that there were over 1 million Bitcoin subscribers on it. So think about what that means. Your child sends in a photo to somebody they think they're going to be a new boyfriend or girlfriend, and maybe it's a sexual video, and then they start to get blackmailed. And that photo will go out in these pornography rings, in this case, to over 1 million people just like that. And so I'm very, very proud of these investigators in Germany and in US and all over that have found these rings and have been willing to go out and do the hard work. If you know of any child that's being abused, whether it's in child pornography or whether it's webcam sex or whether it's extortion or human trafficking, please report it. You can report it anonymously at 1-888-3737-888. Well, that's it for this time. If you want to learn more, please follow millionkids.org. We have a YouTube channel. We have all kinds of materials. We're on Instagram. If you're willing to support our work, both with your prayers, we need prayers. This is hard work. And also to support us financially, we would really appreciate it by going to millionkids.org, hit donate. And if you want to write to me, you can write to me at opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. Well, that's it. We'll see you next time on Insider Alert.